Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, but I don't like it. I am now, look, I've had my reasons for being real hard on Stephanie White because I don't know what kind of agenda is going on there. There's been signs over time. There's been two key signs over time that would tell you Stephanie White might just believe that her Indiana Fever team is better without Caitlin.
So Caitlin Clark just hit the brakes on the 2025 season. And honestly, the internet is melting down faster than ice on a Vegas sidewalk. One single statement from her and suddenly the world is in chaos. Nobody knows whether to clap, panic, or spin wild conspiracy theories about sponsorships and cosmic signs. This isn't just some random headline you scroll past. No, this one grabs your attention, shakes it like a storm, and screams, "Wake up!" because everything you thought you understood about this season just flipped on its head.
Yeah, I mean, I think just having conversation with her and collaborating, and we knew that West Coast road trip was going to be a big one to see where we could get and how far we could get. And I think at the end of the day, she's been working her butt off to be able to get back, and we've kind of run out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner. And I think we've all been very open and upfront with her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing. And to be in a position that you need to be in to play at this time of the year, we just ran out of time to get her there.
Steph, what stood out to you about Caitlin and kind of the array of emotion she probably felt as you came to this decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play, and then to have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. And the message has continued to be that it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
I'm curious before.
Hey.
And here we are, staring at the unthinkable, the possibility that Caitlin Clark's basketball fairy tale could be ending before it ever reaches its climax. Think about that for a second. This is the player who turned every arena into a sellout, who dragged casual fans into women's basketball with nothing but jaw-dropping range and undeniable swagger. And now, she's parked on the sideline, looking like the sport's most painful what-if. Let's be real, the whispers are already swirling. Is this really it? Could a single injury erase all the hype, the records, the highlight reels, and leave her branded as the most heartbreaking one-season wonder in recent memory? That's not just tough. That's devastating.
Seems to be the thing where it's like, we're running out of time to do it in a safe manner, where it's not necessary. I don't think it's necessarily that Caitlin can't play. It's that Caitlin's probably in the same situation as she was when she played before. As in, she came back, played 5 games, got injured, came back, played 4 games, got injured. Am I right in that? 4, 5, 4. Yeah. Or 4 games, then 5 games, whatever way it was. I think it was 5 got injured, 4 got injured. So I think they're scared that if they bring back Caitlin now, maybe, that she's going to go and pick up another soft tissue injury. That's my interpretation of what's happening right now. That's what it sounds like.
Let's be real for a second. The sports world forgets faster than a TikTok trend. One season, you're the face of the game, the golden child on every highlight reel. And the very next, you're just a trivia answer fans toss around while hyping the next rookie in line. Caitlin Clark had a season that felt like the launch pad to legend. A year that screamed superstardom was inevitable. But now, she's holding a medical chart that even the most die-hard optimists can't look at without thinking of careers cut short. It's cruel, no doubt. But that's the brutal truth. Sports don't care how many jerseys you sold, how many arenas you packed, or how many kids wore your number. It only cares about one thing. Can you still show up and play?
Have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA. But the good news is her career is not over. But it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing down like that. And ever since Stephanie.
Right now, Caitlin Clark isn't lacing up sneakers for the roar of a crowd. She's dressing for press conferences instead. And those speeches, they don't sound like triumphant comeback promises. They echo more like desperate PR lifelines. The tone isn't bold, that confident see you soon swagger. It's softer, almost pleading. Please don't forget me while I vanish into the shadows of rehab. You can feel it, can't you? The spotlight slipping away. And Clark, she feels it too.
Right. So now, I don't know who asked the question. The young lady, shout out to you. She said, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? Like that, I appreciate you at least. You didn't say it as blunt as I would have, but you said it. You asked the question. Hey, because now she's saying, yeah, the plan on this West Coast trip was to evaluate. How you gonna evaluate her if she never had contact? What's the evaluation? She's been able to shoot jump shots. She's been able to run up and down the court by herself with nobody touching her. What was there to evaluate? Now you're pushing it through the weekend, leading us on, having us dangling in.
And of course, oh man, the trolls were waiting. The same people who barely even knew her name last season are suddenly Twitter surgeons, tossing out overnight diagnoses. Caitlin Clark's become the Greg Oden of women's hoops, with hot takes flooding before her second paycheck even clears. That, my friends, is the raw cruelty of the internet. If you're not lighting up scoreboards, you're just fresh meat for ridicule. Some stars come back stronger, snapping back like rubber bands. Others, they break and never glue themselves fully together again. Nobody, absolutely nobody, knows which side Clark lands on. Yet the chatter is relentless. Already, she's being framed as the sad warning that hype alone never guarantees longevity. And here's the wild part. Just months ago, she was frying defenses, stacking highlights like cheat codes, breezing through interviews with that grin like she'd cracked the secret code of sports. One injury later, and the story flips so brutally hard, it almost feels cruel.
There you have it, folks. My hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. It makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of the season. She was
right now. Every update on Caitlin Clark feels less like sports coverage and more like a daytime soap opera. The questions swirl. Will she return? Will she ever be the same? Has her confidence cracked for good? Fans aren't replaying highlights anymore. They are squinting at injury reports like fortune tellers reading tea leaves, searching for hope. And why? Because deep down, nobody, absolutely nobody, wants to face the painful thought that maybe they already witnessed her peak. Here's the brutal truth. Not every career ends with a farewell tour and thunderous ovations. For every comeback we glorify, there are countless athletes who fade quietly into trivia question obscurity. That's the shadow hovering over Clark now. And the media, they are pouring gasoline on it, kicking off the overrated cycle, wondering if she was just hype, or worse, if her rise and stumble proves women's basketball can't sustain a superstar. It's harsh. It's exhausting. But that's exactly how the machine operates.
Is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening. And there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what the Indiana...
Okay, so in today's wild sports world, you don't just get injured in a mall. No, you instantly become a symbol, something bigger, something dramatic, something that looks tailor-made for a chyron flashing across the screen. Caitlin Clark's knee? It's no longer just a knee. It's been transformed into the centerpiece of a swirling, fiery debate about the very future of women's basketball. And here's the brutal truth. She had just one full season before the walls started closing in. Think about that. One magical run, one viral highlight reel after another, one unforgettable year as the undeniable chosen one. If that's the entire resume, then what do we even call it? Was it the beginning of unmatched greatness, or just a dazzling, fleeting fling with destiny? Sports history isn't kind to short stories. It demands sagas, dynasties, redemption arcs. And right now, Clark's story is nothing but a question mark. Can she return to form? Will this injury dim her brilliance forever? Could the Caitlin Clark era actually end before it even begins? And here's the cruel, almost poetic twist. If she never returns, her legend might only grow bigger. The athletes who burn out early, they become myths. Fans hold on to the promise, the sky-high potential, the what could have been far more vividly than reality itself. And so Clark could be frozen in time, not as a fallen star, but as the one who lit the fuse to an explosion and then simply vanished.
He finally had the balls to ask somebody, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? You said you're having a meeting. You had your evaluation on the West Coast trip. Now you're gonna have a meeting. Are you guys gonna let the fans know what the hell is going on? Because y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's gonna be at this arena and that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. First we heard she might be back for the Minnesota Lynx the first time we played them a week ago. She wasn't even ready for that. A miraculous ankle injury popped.
Caitlin Clark might become basketball's most heartbreaking story of lost potential, forever remembered as the unstoppable force who never got her sequel. And in a twisted, almost surreal way, that could make her bigger than if she'd played another decade and simply been very good. Fans adore their champions, but let's be honest, they love their tragedies almost as much. And that's where we are now. Clark, once the unstoppable storm on the hardwood, has become basketball's most fascinating question mark. Her injury could be a temporary hurdle on the path to a legendary career. Or, and here's the chilling part, it could be the devastating final line in a book that feels unfinished. Nobody knows. What we do know is the world is watching, dissecting, speculating, and, let's be real, secretly savoring the chaos. Because here's the juiciest, most terrifying headline of all: what if she never recovers? That's not idle speculation. That's the nightmare whispered in group chats, argued in sports bars, and debated by every media voice out there. Just imagine it, a meteoric rise, a savior of women's basketball, suddenly recast as the most high-profile what could have been of the decade. The irony is brutal, isn't it? Like the basketball gods handed us a gift only to yank it back before anyone could enjoy it. So whether this ends in triumphant comeback or cautionary tale, one thing's crystal clear: Caitlin Clark's future isn't just hers anymore. It's the whole sport, holding its breath.
Here we are, the next morning after it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season. Something that I think most of us pretty much knew for maybe at least the last couple of weeks. I heavily suspected it for the last, if I'm being real, last month. Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games. And that's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged at as
1 minute, Caitlin Clark is the headline, the absolute biggest story in sports. The next, she's instantly reduced to the cautionary tale every coach cites about overexposure. And let's be real, the media loves this script. They build icons just to tear them down. Clark wasn't just a player, she was the golden goose. She sold out arenas, spiked TV ratings, turned every highlight into viral gold. But now, the narrative has flipped completely into speculation and sensationalism. Every talking head is suddenly debating whether her career is already over. Forget rehab timelines. Forget nuance. This is about clicks, fear, and the spectacle of an empire collapsing before it even grew. Brutal? Absolutely. Addictive? Even more so. Because fans may never admit it, but they crave this kind of raw drama. Watching a superstar stumble, watching them fight adversity, it's its own twisted theater. So could Clark's injury end her career? On paper, yes, bodies break, recovery isn't guaranteed. And if hers betrays her now, then all that hype, all that breathtaking promise, gets tragically locked away under one brutal label, unrealized potential.
To the disappointment to a lot of people, she will not play for the rest of the season. Now, what does this mean for her? Rest. Big time rest. Get healthy. That's the number one thing. When you miss a full season, it's tough to come back and not be rusty. So I think a lot of the off season is going to be spent rehabbing her legs, getting stronger, and just working towards getting back to 2026 so that she can be healthy.
And here's the chilling part nobody wants to admit. Caitlin Clark's margin for error right now is thinner than a whisper. She doesn't have a decade-long wall of credentials protecting her, does she? No mountain of MVP trophies, no glittering tower of championship rings, no endless reel of highlights playing on loop to remind the world she was undeniable. Instead, she has one season, one breathtaking, history-shaking, unforgettable season where she looked like she had already taken over the game itself. But here's the cruel twist. If she can't build on that, her whole career risks being reduced to nothing more than a YouTube clip titled Caitlin Clark's Best Plays Before the Injury. And let's be honest, nobody, absolutely nobody, wants their story remembered as a playlist instead of a legacy. That's where this entire argument turns complicated. Some argue that even if she never laces up again, her mark is untouchable. She filled arenas. She sold out games. She turned women's basketball into must-watch theater for millions. Yet the cold truth stares us down. Her career is still a blueprint, half-built, abandoned. And the silence of those missing builders is deafening. What makes it even more brutal? The sports world itself. It doesn't wait for heartbreak. While Clark fights her way through rehab, the league spins forward. New rookies will explode onto the scene. Fresh stars will dominate the headlines. And by the time she's ready, if she's ready, that stage might not even be hers anymore. Sports is merciless that way. The clock never stops just because a star is stuck in recovery. Time marches on without sympathy. And legends, real legends, only live forever if they rise again and again.
A conversation and a agreement that would have happened between the Fever organization and I assume Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA. We don't want to mess these ratings up now. We don't want to mess those ratings up now, do we? Let's make it look like she's going to come back. So I knew there was going to be a lot of reaction today and last night, overnight. And Amber Cox, the CEO and general manager for the Fever, has released a statement on Twitter X. And it has gotten quite the response from Caitlin Clark fans.
And you know what? Maybe that's the wildest, most haunting twist of them all. Even if Caitlin Clark heals, even if her body somehow grants her a miraculous return, there's no guarantee the world will still be waiting. The physical recovery, yes, it's brutal beyond words. No doubt. But the mental recovery, oh, that's the true battlefield no one ever gets to witness. Picture this, going from torching defenses night after night, living in the spotlight, to sitting powerless on the sidelines as new names arrive and steal the very glow you once owned. It eats at you. It pushes you into dangerous, soul-crushing questions. Will I ever be that force again? Do fans still even care? Did my peak already pass? And nobody told me? Those doubts, they don't whisper. They roar when the crowd goes silent. And then comes the heaviest burden of all, expectation. She wasn't just another rookie, was she? She was handed the title of savior, crowned as the one meant to carry women's basketball into its golden future. Now imagine staring at a medical chart in pieces and realizing that future might sprint ahead without you. That isn't just rehab, my friends. That's the wreckage of identity itself. And yet the machine, the merciless sports machine, still demands the show. You must smile in interviews. You must echo the right words. You must project unwavering confidence. You must act as though your career isn't clinging to a thread ready to snap. Why? Because in sports, the show never stops. Not for anyone. Not even when the game itself is forced to.
WNBA ratings worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance.
What's truly wild is how a single injury can flip an entire legacy upside down. If Caitlin Clark claws her way back and dominates again, she isn't just a star anymore, she's an icon. She becomes the comeback story people point to whenever they talk about resilience carved into history. But if she doesn't, then she's remembered as the tragic headline, the undeniable force who had it all, only to lose it before ever cashing in on the full promise of her talent. Either way, her name is etched into basketball's timeline. The only question is which chapter it lands in, legendary hero or heartbreaking tragedy. And here's the thing, the ripple effects stretch far beyond her own story. Sponsors were all in on her. Broadcasters rebuilt entire schedules around her. The league itself leaned hard on her as the face of its future. Remove her from the picture, and suddenly glossy marketing campaigns start to feel fragile, don't they? That's how powerful one player had become. So powerful that her absence now shakes the very foundation of everything built around her in a twisted way that makes her story even more universal. Because everyone knows the pain of losing something too soon. Clark's career may echo louder as a haunting what if than as a polished Hall of Fame decade. That's the cruel truth of sports, my friends. Sometimes, one breathtaking season becomes the entire book.
I don't know, Caitlin Clark recently put out a statement basically saying that she is out for the remainder of the season. Sad news for the basketball world. Avid WNBA fans know that Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for weeks, actually months, due to her growing injury. Has been putting a lot of work in, rehabbing, trying to get back onto the court. And some people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs because right now the Fever sit at the 8th spot. Not sure if they'll be able to keep the 8th spot and get into the playoffs, but a lot of people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs. I'm personally glad that the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark decided to just rest her for the rest of the season and just shut it down.
One moment you feel untouchable, the next you realize you're fragile. That's the cruel and strangely beautiful nature of sports, isn't it? Legends can be carved and erased in the blink of an eye. And the wildest twist, not even Caitlin Clark herself knows how her own story plays out, which leaves us with the million-dollar question. Is this really the end? Or is it just the most suspenseful halftime break basketball has ever seen? This isn't about Clark missing a few games. Not even close. It's her entire future dangling in the balance like a nail-biting soap opera cliffhanger. The kind that keeps fans glued to their phones, refreshing nonstop. Either she storms back and writes one of the greatest comebacks since sliced bread hit grocery shelves, or she fades into memory as the most famous one-season wonder women's basketball has ever known. And here's the stinging truth. By the time she's cleared to step back on the floor, if she's even cleared at all, the spotlight may have already drifted towards someone new. That's the merciless rhythm of sports. Yet it's exactly why nobody can turn away. Because whether this becomes a triumphant return, a crushing downfall, or a heartbreaking epilogue, Caitlin Clark has already achieved what so few athletes ever do. She's become impossible to ignore. So the real question isn't simply if she plays again, but which version of Clark we'll see if she does. Will it be the comeback queen who redefines resilience, or the haunting reminder of a career that ended too soon? Either way, the world will watch every step, every headline, every whisper. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe. More videos are already waiting for you right now on the screen.